Okay, welcome to Integrative Connections. I'm Dr. Angie.
And I am Kaela, and I am so excited to interview John from Sasquatch Foods today. I met him at the farmer's market here in Folsom, and I am so impressed with your product, John. And I really am excited to hear more about your background, how you came up with it, and just what it's like navigating the food industry. So, welcome.
Well, thank you for having me today. It's a pleasure. Doctor, it's a pleasure. Kaylee, it's a pleasure seeing you again.
Yeah.
So excited to be here. Any questions you have, be happy to share what I think.
Well, why don't you just start off by telling us what inspired you to start Sasquatch Foods?
Well, this is actually a multi-step process, really. When I was young and pretty, I used to do a lot of bicycle racing back in my my early teens, my early 20s. And at the time, unless you prep your own food to take for long rides, training rides, or races, you really had no other options that were ready to eat, right? And then along some point of time came power bars. And in my personal opinion, to me, they tasted like cardboard dipped in sugar. And then later on, Cliff bars came along. And so those were a little bit better, more natural, better ingredients, a little bit better tasting, hard as a rock. But that's what was available to just take a quick thing with you and without having to prep a lot of stuff. And they were also good for snacking, etc. Along the same time, around 35 years ago, I actually was on a transition point in my life, and I went and worked for a company, a commercial bakery that manufactured the Cliff Bars for the Cliff Bar Company in Carson City, Nevada. And so I actually worked for them for 2 years, and I managed the processing portion of the Cliff Bar. So while doing so, I also consume them. I used to do, again, my racing, etc. But I knew every ingredient that went into the product. And I always kept in the back of my head, there's got to be something better. It's got to be something savory. And then lo and behold, I got married, had young kids, raised a family. You fast forward 30 plus years or 35 plus years, and I no longer race, I'm no longer pretty, but the market has a lot of saturation of products that are sweet, sugar-based, whether it's corn syrup, molasses, you name it. The common denominator is sugar. And to me, in my personal opinion, sugar means treats, good, but in excess is an addiction concept. And so my wife, along the way, my wife and I also coached soccer for about 20 years, and we retired about 3 years ago. And in that process, we discovered that if we fed snacks to our athletes when they came after school for our practices, that they will perform better during practices, which then extrapolated for better performance on the soccer field on a game, because they achieved better results during practices because they were not hungry.
Wait, you mean if you don't feed them Cheetos and Gatorade, they perform better?
Imagine that, right? So it is that sort of situation. So we discovered doing that was good for our athletes. So my wife and I literally will buy snacks from the stores, bring them to practice. But my wife struggled to find good snacks. So we sort of put the two and two together. My previous experience as a racer, bicycle racer, and then our coaching perspective. We did a lot of nutrition work to make sure that our athletes were well prepared, etc. And then 3 years ago, we finally stopped coaching, and we decided, there's nothing in the market. We can do this, and so we decided to start a product that we were bringing into the food industry, was a food bar, because that's in my head what was needed, right? And as we were getting to prepare to do recipes, we were doing all these things. In fact, we have recipes ready to go for this additional product. But along the way, we discovered that the process to bring the other product to market was going to be more cumbersome with the health department, health regulations, FDA, etc., because of the ingredients we were going to use. And so my wife, like every other person that does sourdough, as she was playing around with the recipes, she, in the meantime, also was playing with sourdough. She didn't know what to do with her discard. So like everybody else in the United States, she made crackers with her discard. And as she was playing around, I got involved a little bit. And then one day I was starving around and I thought, my wife's crackers sound good about right now. And it's like a light bulb came in and turned on. And then I called my wife that day. I said, stop the bars, focus on the crackers. I'll get you everything tonight. So I got home that night. We formulated a plan and we started working on the crackers because of the easiness of the product to bring it to market. And so that's basically, in a nutshell, the concept of where the idea started, how it came about, how it evolved, and how we ended up with the crackers.
That's amazing. And tell us what's special about the crackers.
Well, along the way of working with athletes, being an athlete, we realized that there is a need for sustained energy in the athlete's body. The problem is that in order for you to provide nutrition that will sustain the energy, you need to provide it in either intravenous form, and you're not going to do that when you're trying to be a regular everyday athlete, right? Shots, and when I was a young cyclist, I used to get the B complex shots, one every other day on each cheek because they were painful. But it was a B complex serum that you will get just to kind of get you that extra vitamin. And it's painful, and most people will not do it. Or you find another medium that can be digested easily by the body to provide you that nutrition. So through all the research that we looked at, scientific research from universities and other people throughout the years, we discovered that by providing the body with prebiotics, it allows your body to have a healthy microbiome that breaks down the nutrients more efficiently. By doing so, your body is able to retain those nutrients better. And so in this case, we realized that by providing fiber, protein, carbs, and vitamins, we allow your body to retain those nutrients. And in essence, the B vitamins are essential for your body to convert the fiber, the protein, and the carbs into actual energy that your body can utilize. But there's no addictive concept to it. Your body's literally going through its normal process of it. Is being aided by the sourdough, in this case of our crackers, that provide the fiber, the nice healthy microbiome to allow you to retain those nutrients. So in a nutshell, that's what it is. So what's essentially the difference between our crackers is that they are sourdough-based. But unlike sourdough bread per se, where you allow 10% of sourdough discard to put into the dough, you let it rise, and the bacteria goes and does all its thing, rises up, and then you proof it, then you let it rise again, and then you bake it. That's great, and it's fantastic, and the flavor is fabulous, and it does very good for your body. But we discovered that if you start the process of fermentation with the sourdough, and then you stop it right at the half point, the right place, then you will refrigerate, in this case for our crackers, our sourdough starter. And then we monitor the pH and the acidity levels to make it just right. So when we're ready to produce it, we get the starter out of the refrigerator, we mix it with our dough, and then we don't let it sit and rise because we don't want the bacteria and the lactic acid to go through its process. We want to save that for later on. And so we mix, we process, and we bake immediately. And what it allows our crackers to do is people that consume it, and in this case, for instance, I'll give you an example, people that are gluten intolerant. We discovered that because of how we process our crackers, a lot of the gluten has been already broken down. People that have gluten intolerance can actually eat our crackers because it doesn't upset their stomach. With moderation, of course. You're not going to get a pound of crackers and think that you're going to be okay, right? But as a regular snack. So what's interesting about our crackers is basically this. we made a product that tastes good, in our opinion, is healthy for you. Our product has no sugar, it has no caffeine, it has no chemical or artificial preservatives or anything. It has no seed oils because we do have an issue with that. In fact, instead of using butter for our crackers, like most people use for crackers, we use organic olive oil. And then we use a high protein, fiber, rich flour, all-purpose flour, organic whole wheat flour. And by now, actually, the last couple of months, we've just reworked all our recipes to make sure that our crackers will qualify as a organic product, which we're going to go start the process of doing that, so everything will be qualified as organic. So anyway, in a nutshell, is what we believe the perfect snack. And then beyond that is whether or not people like it, right? So because taste is everything. That's why every once in a while I eat a bag of Cheetos. I know it's wrong, but I do it once a year. But it's
Well,
the taste.
you have a ton of different flavors, so you can appease every palate, I'm sure. And the first thing that I noticed was I could pronounce all of the ingredients, and that's not common when it comes to crackers.
That's a good
Right.
sign. And so you're also adding nutritional yeast as your B vitamin source, yes?
Actually, yes and no. So there is two types of nutritional yeast commonly available. There's fortified nutritional yeast that gets added a variety of vitamins, right? So we started our product with that fortified nutritional yeast. Along the way, we discovered that we can lower the cost of our product for the consumer once we start automating our line by using non-fortified nutritional yeast. That required us to use some of our other expertise. And by that, I mean, we actually have another product that is based into an electrolyte vitamin product that we're coming to the market with. And in the process of learning and researching that product, we discovered that we can do our own formulation for the vitamins. So in order to make our product organic, we had to reduce the amount of nutritional yeast. But the moment we did that, we will lose the vitamins. So we decided to create our own formulation. Now we're actually adding the vitamins directly into our mix. And we're using non-fortified nutritional yeast. We still use it, but because it is the only element besides the salt that is not organic, we reduce the amount of it just enough so it makes our product organic, and it allows the still to contain that taste of the nutritional yeast that is essential. It's essential to make it taste almost cheesy-like in taste.
That's what I put on my popcorn. I love it.
Exactly, it is a great product. So
now
we
you're
also
just
discovered that by
now it's for
mixing,
flavor, basically.
it is,
Okay.
and we discovered that the nutritional yeast will actually lose its cheesiness once you cook it, you bake it. But if you mix it with the correct whole wheat flour, it helps enhance the cheesy product. It's phenomenal stuff. So it's like, mad scientists playing with that thing. But so the type of whole wheat flour that we use is essentially picked for two reasons. One of them is the taste, that it allows to taste almost like a cheesy, but it also the high protein, in addition to being organic. So, but anyway, so that's what we do. So now we use the nutritional yeast and we use our own formulation on the vitamins because we're trying to also, we believe that innovation will get us at the forefront in this market of the quick snack industry and marketplace. And one of the things that we have done for innovation, for instance, I'll give you an example, and Doctor, I'm sure you're probably familiar with this. As you evaluate B vitamins, you realize that, for instance, B12 is essential for energy. It's essential for a lot of functions in your body. And there are two types of B vitamins commonly available. One of them is cyacobalabin, which is a synthetic B12 vitamin. And it is actually good for you. It's essentially necessary for your body function. But there is about 40% of the population in the United States that have a gene marker that doesn't allow them to methylize the cyacovalvin or a bunch of other vitamins. And a lot of the population don't know this, right? So the problem with that, if it is about 40% of the population, based on data available anywhere, then it's a large number of people. And if they cannot process the B vitamins, the B12 vitamin, in this case, the cyacovalvin, then it's pointless because their body's just going to flush it. So then you're just wasting it, and people are thinking, they're under the impression that it's doing good for them. Some of the people don't even know they have this gene mutation that doesn't allow their body to process a B12 vitamin on the synthetic form. So what do? You use a methylated form of cyacovalvin. In this case, it's methylcobalamin. Methylcobalamin is the natural form. And what it basically comes down to is that your body no longer has to methylate the B12 vitamin, it's already methylated. And so your body has an easier time absorbing it. So what we are doing through the innovation that we'll continue to try to do in our business is we're replacing the cyacovalvin, because now we do our own formulation, and we're replacing it with a methylcobalamin. Because we want to make sure that if we are going to tell people you're going to get energy out of this product, we want to make sure that 100% of the people that eat it can process that vitamin. Otherwise, 40% of our clients are just taking it and not getting any benefit. So that's kind of what the situation is with the B vitamins and why we chose to do our own formulation. Same with
fortified yeast doesn't have methylated vitamins.
No, it doesn't. It has cyacovalvin. So it doesn't have methylated because it is. So it turns out you use the synthetic products because it's easier, cheap to manufacture, et cetera, and people will get a benefit out of it. Except in this case, like I said, in the people that cannot process the cyacovalvin, they're just wasting money. So the other vitamin that is essential for this as well, that is going through the same process, is B9. I don't know if you've seen enough things on the internet. There's people they're talking, in my opinion, some of the, I will question their opinion, but they go, oh, folic acid is bad for you. You don't take that. Well, that's B9. Folic acid is essential for a lot of the functions on your body as well. But it is true that if you abuse it, well, it can be a detriment to your body to some extent in some people. But the problem that folic acid or B9 vitamin has is the same as the B12 cyacovalvin. If your body cannot methylate it, then it's pointless. And so there's a form of B9 vitamin that is also already methylated. And that's what we're using as well. We're trying to switch all that so we can provide that. So again, as you can see by this, it's just like it sounds like a lot of mumbo jumbo, but it's a lot of testing and research that we have done, because yes, we want to provide a snack. It has to be clean, it has to be healthy. But if it is not providing you nutrition, then it's just like any other snack out there.
Like empty calories.
Exactly. It's pointless, right?
Yeah, I think that's great. And I am very, well-versed on the methylated. In fact, the multivitamin that I take has all the methylated B's in it. Because, most people aren't going to go through the testing, the MTA-HFR testing. So you might as well just take methylated B's and then everyone.
Yes.
Right. Can you speak a little bit, a couple questions. One is about the concept of resistant starch. When carbohydrates, whether it's from grains or potatoes or rice, when those are cooled down, they actually create something called a resistant starch, which then acts like a prebiotic to feed your gut bacteria and lowers the glycemic index of the food. Would your crackers then qualify as a resistant starch food by how you're processing them?
Well, with the testing, the short answer is yes, it will qualify as that, because the process you just described is what actually happens with a product. And now, these are not tests. I haven't done lab testing or anything, but I can tell you for a fact that we have provided our crackers to people that have type 1, type 2 diabetes and have told them, okay, this is what we created the product based on research that we had before, and we believe this is what it will do for you. One of them is it has a very low glycemic level because it is a prebiotic, which, that fiber allows in your microbiome, it basically gets fermented, which creates all that other stuff, right? We have discovered from feedback, and I have emails from people that have sent us a result and said, I ate the crackers, like you said, I tested them. My sugar level did not spike at all.
Great. That's awesome.
And the reason that's happening is this. People don't know this, obviously, unless you get to know me, but half of my family on my mother's side had a problem with diabetes. My grandfather had diabetes. He died at the age of 89, but he managed his diabetes through insulin, proper diet, etc., for years. But I had uncles and cousins that passed away as a result of complications of diabetes. So when we created the product, wasn't just with the athlete in mind, it was to try to provide something clean, good, healthy, but it will have all the benefits that people don't even think about. So yes, so the short answer is yes, the product qualifies that because it does create that process.
Great. Go ahead, Kaela.
Just really quick to backpack on what you just said. What are things that people don't think about that you're addressing? What should people think about when they're shopping for food and when they're thinking about their diet?
Well, people primarily in the United States. Now, a lot of people have been abroad, etc. But a lot of people that haven't traveled abroad, that they just live in the United States and to go to other countries, they don't understand the preconditioning that has been happening over the last 100 years by the industry that provides food to be consumed by the population. It has been, and I'm very adamant about this because it kind of feels, I understand it. And so, without getting into conspiracy theories, here's the concept.
No filter, just bring it.
So here's the concept. The food industry has systematically used the same playbook as the tobacco industry used for years. The concept is simple. Make a lot of money by addicting people to our product. Yeah, we know it's bad. We don't need to disclose it. When we're found out, we have enough money to pay off all the lawsuits and we'll still make money. And what you have now with the tobacco industry is everybody knows it's bad for you. Everybody knows it's going to cause cancer, a potential variety of other issues, high blood pressure, you name it. And people still consume it. The tobacco industry is still making a ton of money. The food industry has gone based on the same concept. In fact, Coca-Cola has been under, as an example, has been under a lot of pressure now because they changed their formulation to make sure that they had the ingredients that, in my opinion, create that addictive concept, right? But it's not the only one. There's plenty of companies out there. In fact, you have and I'm not going to name brands, but you have the so-called energy drinks that tell you you're going to get apparently wings. Well, with our product, we don't tell people they're going to get wings because that's just stupid, right? So, but they condition the public into thinking that if you take this product, you're going to have energy. However, there's no nutrition involved with it. It's just an stimulation. So what happens when the stimulation wears off, just like you would do cocaine or meth or anything else, is you crash. And then what do? You go grab another one. And the active cycle continues. And now you have people that walk around with with a can of energy drink of whatever brands are there that they don't realize it's the same thing that tobacco industry did when they said, smoke Marlboro, you'll be a man. So it's one of those things. So So I tell you all this background because it sets up the answer to your question, which is, what do I think? People need to stop. And this, and I tell you this, based on the research I did when we were starting the business 3 years ago, 4 years ago, is I foresaw, and I don't want to sound like a psychic, but I foresaw that the marketplace will be changing the next 10 to 20 years, where snack foods will be preferred because of their, not only because of the taste, but also because of their healthiness and nutritional value. People are getting to know this, but there's not everybody. There's a group of people that do understand this concept, such as yourselves, and a large number of people, but not everybody understands this, but it's changing. And so in my mind, I said, okay, so what would I want to create a product that will be like everything that you find at the convenience stores that is just garbage. And so we have to set ourselves apart for the future growth. I want my company to be a big conglomerate that provides healthy products to the population. And so with that in mind, then is the thinking, okay, how do we do that? Well, we tell people about it. Right now, the population here has been conditioned to think a certain way. Like I said, tobacco industry playbook. I want people to know, what are you eating? Question it. Everybody goes, question authority. I said, forget authority. Question, what are you eating? That's where authority may or may not affect you directly. The big corporations, through food, will affect you directly. Question your food. Question what you eat. And then if you do that, you will start changing things. Now, that said, anybody can make a healthy product nowadays. So the big taboo with healthy products is that, well, they taste like grass, not good. And that's a fallacy, of course. So we're trying to change that. But that's what I would like people to know. Question the food you eat. Question the source. And then, educate yourself on what can you do better. And then after that, then the hard part begins. Once you know, okay, that what I'm eating is not good, what I'm snacking on is not good, then you go, okay, I need to change my life and my diet habits, etc. Then the question begins, like, well, what do I eat? Unless you make yourself your own food, it's very hard to find good food. Why? Because the market is saturated with garbage. And that's where companies like myself, my wife and I, my company, we're trying to change that. And there's companies out there that are trying to do that. So there's a revolution happening. It's snacking, eating healthy revolution that we want to be at the forefront of. So yeah, basically, question the food you're eating, question who you're getting it from.
And when they're questioning their food, is this looking at ingredients, or what's just a quick practical tip that you can give a listener in terms of starting to question their food?
Well, the main thing is you want to start with taking out the negatives and then leaving the positives, right? And so the concept in that is, if you have overly processed ingredients in your food, excessive sugars, some sugar alcohols, seed oils. So first start by finding products that don't have those ingredients. Mm-hmm. Then beyond that, you go to the next level. So it's the first level, take the garbage ingredients out. If you change your diet for that, even if it's somewhat processed, because the reality is like our crackers, they're processed food. We take basic ingredients and we process them and bake them. So process in and of itself is not bad. It's ultra processed food with bad ingredients is what's wrong. And so it has to be a distinction. So you take the bad things first. And then if you want to go beyond that, then it's like, okay, so out of the cleaner ingredients, what's best for my health? And I give you an example. Some people are gluten intolerant. So then you start by eating products that don't have all this garbage, but they also gluten-free, right? Same for the rest of the population. Like to me, I like my sweets, but in sporadic consumption and only as a dessert here and there, right? So I like savory things. So what things are savory that are good for me, that taste good, that are, so you go through that process. Once you go from the first, that's the second stage, right? And then if you want to be a health nut, then you go, extreme and try to get everything clean, make it yourself, and that's the next step. And that's okay. That's nothing wrong with it. But the reality is most of us don't have the time to do it. And so we're trying to fit the middle niche market where we say we have something better that you can grab quick. We've done the thinking and the processing of knowing what's good for you to make sure that we help you. And then you price it right.
Yeah. And from my perspective, if you have even a snack food that is nutrient dense and has bioavailable nutrients and has healthy fats, you're going to be more satiated and you're going to consume less calories as a result of that.
So I'll give you an example of that. I'm 5'10". Most of my life, I was 155 to 165. As a racer, I was 145, 140, 145 pounds as a 5'10" height. So perfect, right? Very little fat content in my body, etc. But as I got older, my metabolism slowed down. And when we started the business, I was hitting 175 pounds. And I actually came to the realization that, okay, I'm old. I'm okay with getting old. I love being, going through the ages, nothing wrong with it. And I realized, well, I guess I can be okay with 175 pounds. I mean, I don't like it, but I got to go to another pant size. But I still feel healthy and I have energy. And so I'm okay with that. Well, that was fine up until the beginning of 2025. Through all the amount of work that we're doing at producing our product and making and everything, I started doing a couple of eggs in the morning, sometimes with ham, sausage, what have you. And then throughout the day, instead of eating lunch, because we're working all day, I started snacking on our crackers. And so I get it with dip, sometimes I leave it with cheese. And so I snack all day, 8, 9 hours a day on my crackers. And so I found out that I wasn't hungry. Then at nighttime, I go over and have a nice, sensible dinner. Then I go to bed. All of a sudden, after about a couple of months of doing that, I realized my weight was going down from 175 to 172, 171, 169. I'm thinking, And I started looking at, okay, what have I done differently? And I realized that I started consuming a good, nutritious product, my product, but it had the nutritional value that allowed my body to operate without feeling hungry or feeling weak, because I had the vitamins, the nutrition, the carbs, the fiber, the protein. I had all those nutrients that I was consuming. So lo and behold, I can tell you that I've been tickled silly because I've been able to maintain 165 weight, which is 10 pounds lighter than I was at the beginning of the year. For the last 4 months, it's 4 or 5 months steadily. And it's a result of the eating habits that I have, which is basically eat my crackers, which is at the farmer's market. Sometimes I get some healthy dips. They do that, guacamole, do that. But you put it with something, but the nutrition is coming from the crackers. So I feel satisfied throughout the day, and I'm not hungry. And every time I go ahead and eat my dinner. And I'm not advocating my product as a diet supplement, don't get me wrong. But what I'm saying is that the concept is this: if you snack on nutritious products, or you eat nutritious products that satisfy the natural needs of your body for nutrition, then it prevents your body from going into the storage process where your body sees that you're getting hungry. So next time you eat, it stores more carbs and everything that it will need later on when you starve it to death. So you maintain a constant diet that is manageable, but full of nutrients, full of good products. So.
Love it. Yeah. And just to piggyback on that as well, one of our first interviews was with a nutritionist. And at that time, I called myself the takeout queen and I was busy. So I ate at convenience and all of that. And since I started working with her and learning how to cook and how to use whole foods to my benefit and just really fall in love with food, essentially, I've lost 30 pounds since we've
Congratulations. Yeah. It
so
makes a difference.
something to be said about eating healthy and staying satiated with proper nutrients.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you know, and you don't have to shortchange taste.
Right.
You know, I can tell you that I told you half of my family had the diabetes problems, etc. Thankfully, I've been pretty healthy all my life. I've been, you know, I exercise. I've been an athlete. Well, I haven't exercised the last 3 years because I'm working on a business. But there's something to be said about eating things that are good, tasty. They don't have to be always perfect, but do it with the mindfulness that enjoy it, and then watch yourself. Do it with diligence. Don't be a glutton. You know, and something to be said about enjoying the food, because I love my food. In fact, I used to live my life. Well, I still do pretty much for the most part. I said, you know, I much rather eat what I want, even if I'm not going to live as long, but I want my stomach happy. And so I still kind of do that, although I know that, you know, having healthy food is also essential. But yeah, but I don't shortchange myself. I mean, my wife is bringing pizza for lunch today, you know,
About
like,
moderation.
you know, with moderation, of course.
I have a question, John, about your sourcing of your flour. We're pretty cognizant about glyphosate levels in our pet foods and also our, you know, foods that we recommend. So glyphosate is a big hot topic, obviously, and I know you're sourcing organic. Did you say organic whole grain flour?
Yeah, so it's organic, all-purpose flour,
Okay,
high protein, and then organic whole wheat flour.
Okay, so you're using
medium grain.
whole grain blended.
I'm sorry, say it again.
You're using a white flour, but it's organic, and then a whole grain together.
Yes.
Got it.
Yeah, it's a mixture of the two.
Got it. And where is that sourced from? Just
actually, the company that we get it from is Central Mills from California. We get it from Petaluma, actually.
Okay,
That's where we get our food. Well, one of them, the whole wheat flour comes directly from them. And then the organic all-purpose flour is the same, it's from them, but it's the brand, the bags that they put together for Costco. So we get it directly from Costco, but it's a Central Mills product.
Okay. Okay. And do you do glyphosate testing on your product? Just curious.
No, we haven't done that yet. We're in the process of getting that done because we're trying to expand now on a national wholesale expansion. So we do need to have all those testings done. So we've been in contact with the lab to get that done.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, because I know that even with organic products, there still can be some residue of glyphosate depending on the soil, the location that it's grown, et cetera.
Right. Right now, we're relying on the testing done by the mills, the manufacturer. So we rely on their sampling.
So one thing we've learned in our research and talking to different practitioners and product companies is that humic and fulvic minerals, which are the soil-based minerals, can actually help the body to block and bind glyphosate in the gut, and also protect the body from the damage to the gut lining and the microbiome that the glyphosate does. So that would be something that maybe you could look at adding. It's a very inexpensive product to add some humic and fulvic minerals to the crackers. Just
no, it's I can tell you this. We have systematically approached making our product better by feedback and by recommendations of people. Everything from our branding to the quality of our ingredients and what we use. So I'm telling you this because in fact, I'm going to ask that if you have recommendations, can you please put them on an email after we've done this and send it to me? Because we will look into it. I'll give you an example of what we do. Early on, when we started our products, we created a barbecue, we call it barbecue flavor. And we used to use a company, spices from a company that made it for us, but they put seed oils on it. So we went ahead and said, we really don't want to have the seed oils. It was only on that particular flavor because of the seasoning. but we didn't want to have it. So we asked them to see if they could remove it and everything. And they said, well, this is how we do it, period. So I said, fine, in the December 23, we reformulated that particular flavor and created actually our jalapeno, but we reformulated that product and we removed the seed oils and made our own seasoning. And we call it hickory barbecue.
It's very good.
And we remove the seed oils. God, in our research, we said, we still want a little bit of the sweetness. The out of the product we used to have organic cane sugar. And so we said, we also want to remove the sugar. We want to call our product sugar-free. So we removed that too, but then we found that we can use erythritol into it, sugar alcohol. And we used it, and lo and behold, we continued to research it, look at things, notice that some people were, we have this feedback from that they didn't like it. And so we researched it even more and we realized, doggone it, we really don't want to have it on our product. So it's like, how do we get that sweetness taste out of it and not have sugar? So we remove the seed oils. So now let's remove any other sugar, alcohol, and everything. So we discovered that if you choose the right amount of organic tomato, it will actually give the product sort of a sweetness from the tomato that you don't have to have any sugar or sugar alcohols into it. And so, we removed that and we redid our recipe again, removed that, and now we just call it hickory. It no longer has a barbecue, but the product is very good. And in fact, it's the hardest one to make because it's hard to bake and make sure that it doesn't get burned. So my wife and I was like, we should discontinue this product. I was like, no, we asked a few people, did some research, and like people didn't want it to get discontinued. So now we're stuck making it because there's people that love it. So, and we like it too, but I'm telling you this because this is an example of how our company, how we feel that we're leading the food industry, even though we're very small, through innovation. And we tell people that regardless of how they feel about Tesla, that we're like the Tesla of commercial bakeries. If we find a better way to do something, then we immediately implement it because we're small enough and we do everything in-house that we can do that very quickly. So if we can make something better, we don't hesitate. We don't wait until the next cycle of things. We implement it immediately. So anyway, yeah. So thanks for your advice.
Yeah, I think humic and fulvic minerals would take it up a notch even more because one of the problems, there's two big problems that I see in the food industry besides sugar and seed oils, and that is the glyphosate and then the lack of minerals because our fruits and vegetables, our produce is grown in mineral deficient soil and the glyphosate robs our body of minerals. So if you can remineralize your cracker, if you can add extra minerals to your crackers in addition to the methylated B vitamins, then you're going to have an even better superfood.
Yeah, no, and actually, this is great information. Like I said, we have a variety of other products we're planning to bring to market. They're pretty ready to go. One of them is a gluten-free trail mix, and another is an energy electrolyte product that is unlike anything that's on the market. Again, going back to what I discussed to you about the methylation and all that, similar stuff, but this is perfect information because some of the minerals that we use your typical suspects, sodium, potassium, that we implement there as part of the electrolyte mixture that we do. But yes, so I'd love to hear you, get your email with some feedback because we will look into it. If it can make a better product, then at the end of the day, we're a startup. And so we want to make sure that we're doing better than other people out there.
Love it. And maybe even look at doing a pet line. I mean, obviously dogs can eat your crackers. I will attest to the fact that there's no reason why you couldn't feed your crackers to a dog. And that's even though
I don't know if you can see.
Those your dogs?
Your shepherds?
My puppies, yes.
No.
They see me eating crackers and they go, what do you want us to do for it?
Oh,
In fact, I actually posted an Instagram video long ago because I tell people all the time, no, I feed this to my dogs. It is very good for them because
Yep.
they will require the B vitamins, etc. And I would tell that to people, and I'm like, you don't really do that. It's like, no. And then I posted a video on our Instagram account. It's actually there, about a year ago or so, with my dogs eating the cracks, and they'll obey. They'll do what I want them to do. I use them as training trees for my dogs. So, we had thought about going into that portion of the market as well, because we do see a big need for that.
And if you need a veterinarian endorsement, then I'll.
Well, I may have to pick your brain to try. Again, it's the whole issue with doing a product is to be better. If we cannot do better, then we don't want to be in business. It's just more importantly, and we put this as a slogan in our bags now, in our 5-ounce bags of product, is that if we cannot make a product that will not be a detriment to your health, then we wouldn't be in business. We want to sleep at nighttime knowing that when people consume our product, it was good for them. Not just the taste, but it was good for them. Because the health of our customers is of the utmost importance to us, as a business.
Health is everything, right?
Yeah,
it is. And where big companies focus on addiction, and they figure, if a few people die, from complications of eating our product in the excessiveness, they'll have more children. We'll get the money from them too. And it's like, to me, that's not the company we want to be.
integrity.
Yeah.
Profit at the expense of our customers' health is not an option.
Right now. Well, I'm very impressed, as a small business owner, just seeing what you've done to put yourself out there. And I'm kind of curious, especially for those listeners who might have an idea, maybe even in the food industry, how did you get your name out there? Like, what's working for you, and where do you see Sasquatch Foods going in the near future?
Well, again, the idea came from having involved in large manufacturing, 35 years ago. And then after that, I started other businesses, etc. I was in the construction industry for 30 plus years. So I really had no frame of reference other than that little microscopic period of time. So I say that because when we had the idea, people need to know that you don't need to know it all. You don't. If you have an idea that is going to be better, good for people, then all you have to do is start there. Have the idea. From that, then is, just train yourself. A lot of people ask me, well, are you a nutritionist? Are you a scientist? Are you a pharmacist? How do you know these things about vitamins and minerals and all that? And I'm none of those things. In fact, I have no formal training of that sort, but I have done enough research, first as an athlete, as a coach, and for the business, to learn what I needed to learn to make my product better. And so I would say, if you have an idea that can make humanity better, you can have bad ideas too, but if you have an idea that can make humanity better, or be good for people, or for your pets, I see my pets as my kids, really, then take that idea, research it. And for us, our case was, if we cannot do it better than what's out there, then we don't want to do it. We'll move to the next idea. Because, if we're going to be the same bad stuff as somebody else did, like, why? So it has to be better. Then from then on, research it. In our case, if you're in the food industry, there's a lot of information that you need to acquire. And one of the things that you have to deal with is the health department in whichever jurisdiction you're in. You got to realize that the health department is a necessary evil. The health department is their ultimate mandate is to protect the public's health. Along the way, they can be pretty hard to work with. But if you understand that their final mandate is to protect the public's health, then it is up to you to make sure that you comply with requirements from the health department. And it can be substantial, but outside of your idea, understand the process of what you're going to have to be dealing with whether it's the health department for your county, your city, or the state. And then in the case like on a company like ours, where we go beyond the regional or the local area, we're shipping product all over the United States. And so when you do that, then you have to be compliant with the FDA. Funny story with the FDA, I'm sure you've seen it all over the place. Now it's like they're banning, dyes, all these products they're banning. And all I can tell people is like, we knew this was going to happen 3 years ago when we started a company. We foresaw that because we know the product, regardless how you feel about the FDA, how it's being handled and everything. But the reality is what they're banning is bad for you. And now you see big companies, and I'm not going to name it, but they make drinks, they make snacks, they're all over the place. They're scrambling to change their recipes, right? And so I would say, start with that, an idea, find out regulations. What is it that you have to comply with? And then are you willing to work hard? Because if you're not going to get your idea off the ground if you want to do it as a part-time. You can do a hobby, and that's okay. But if you want to make a difference and do something larger in scope, then you need to forget about the so-called life balance. Life balance is for people that
it's so real.
that are okay working 9 to 5. Nothing wrong with that. We need those people in society. There's people that are okay with that, and that's a worthwhile life to work 9 to 5, have a career, do all those things. But if you want to be a life-changing character in the world, then you need to forget about life balance. Life balance is, can I get my product out and make money and make it big? That's my life balance. So 7 days a week, that's what it is. So if you're not willing to work hard, then it's okay, but be prepared to do what the other people are not going to do, because anybody can have a good idea. But if you're not willing to put the work behind it, that's nothing but a good idea. That's where it dies. I told my wife, and then again, you got to move forward. I don't know if you've seen the indoor farming industry now. They have these big, warehouses full of vertical integration, farming and all that. It was 30 years ago. I came to my wife with that design and drawings. I said, this is the future of farming.
Wow.
It can help the population. And I drew vertical farming, racks and everything. And I showed my wife a picture about a week ago. I said, look, does that look familiar? And so again, it was an idea. It wasn't the idea for me at the time to break forth. But again, if it's a good idea, if you don't do anything with it, somebody eventually will. And so, but you got to be willing to work hard.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And where can we find your crackers? I met you at the Folsom Farmers Market. Where else are you? And can people buy them on your website?
So yeah, so being a small company, again, we're startups, right? So eventually we want to get to the point where we're going to be in every store. But you got to start somewhere. So we started with our local farmers market in Reno. That's where we're from. And then we started expanding to another farmers market. And now we have a couple of small wholesale accounts in a couple of places. But since we started our online store as well. So people can buy through our store. And we did that for several reasons. As an example, for somebody that wants to look into why or how. Farmers markets are essential, not just to sell your product. The money is good and you need to make, develop money and make money out of doing what you're doing. Otherwise, it's pointless. But the biggest benefit of dealing with farmers markets, like, meeting people like you, is that you get instant feedback.
Yeah.
It's feedback that market research is not going to do for you about your product. you can be a large corporation and put out, thousands of dollars in product and do testing runs and all that and see what people are going to do that. Or you can go and try to figure out the proof of concept for your business and your idea or your product by interacting with people directly, asking questions, answering questions, giving the information, and give it from what you know and what you're really doing. Don't sugarcoat it. Don't, if you don't know the answer to a question, then research it and find it out. So farmers markets are essentially how you've been getting our product, how people can get our product right now. Now we are at a farmers market in Midtown, Sacramento. On Saturdays, we're in Folsom, historic Folsom, good market for us. We're in Reno at the Riverside Farmers Market on Sundays, and then we do the other seasonal ones. And our online business has been incremental. We like to think that we have a fairly decent online store. So that's how people can get our product. The website is sasquatchfoods.com. And so, yeah, all of our products is listed there.
Maybe we can get a wholesale account with you and then we can sell your crackers at our veterinary clinic.
I do have actually, I can think of a medical professional. I had a chiropractor that buys our product wholesale, and we do that. We do wholesale accounts because that's what we want to be. Ultimately, we love the farmers market, but it's just exhausting. Okay. I'll give you an example. We're in Reno, so we start at 4 in the morning and on Saturdays, and we don't come home until 5 o'clock at nighttime on Saturdays. So, and that's for a market in Sacramento, right? So it's exhausting, but it's necessary. It's necessary because we're there in front of people. And by now we have sort of a cult following at some of those markets where if we don't show up, people will know. And so we show up to the markets that we're committed to because it's essential for the growth of our business. We're hoping that it changes, that we have more wholesale accounts to mention. Ultimately, the ideal thing will be that somebody comes along and says, we want to help you bring this product larger. And we're like, that's what we're hoping. We want people all over the United States to start snacking better, whether it's our product or the products similar to ours.
Love it. Well, thanks for all the good work you're doing, and we wish you the best of luck going forward.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your time. It's so interesting to hear your story, and thank you for making a difference in the food industry.
Well, I appreciate you, Doctor. I appreciate you. Thank you for your time. This is, I hope you can see. I mean, I have no teleprompt or anything. I mean, I'm just telling you what it is because basically it's a reality where we are. And so I appreciate you guys for providing me the platform to share my thoughts and concepts. And, hopefully more comes from here, but happy to be in your podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Thank you so much.
Bye. All right. Well, let me start recording.